Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the World Cup Fantasy edition of the FPL Scope podcasts. Kevin is a bit under the weather. He's a bit sick, but he's still, what do you say? You're powering through.
Yes.
And doing the podcast this week. So just give us an update on your health and safety, Kevin.
Yeah, sure.
What?
I'm that sick that I didn't realize you just wanted the update now. Yes, I am currently very sick. But yeah, got a bit of a cold, sore throat. It's not COVID, luckily. But yeah, you know what? I'll gladly take this and feeling like this as long as Argentina win the final on Sunday and that I'm feeling good by the time I go back to Sweden on Wednesday. So, but yeah, it's not a fun feeling currently.
Yeah, now you're gonna do like Messi and just go past it.
100%.
You're gonna pass every obstacle and then come out on top.
Unlike feeling my hammy every 10 minutes, I'm just gonna do this. Just do the Messi just throughout. Just be like, and then still get a goal and assist. What a legend.
Yeah, Messi went through to the final, Croatia going to the bronze final. On the other end, you have France going through to the final and Morocco going to the bronze final. So we're nearing the final round of World Cup Fantasy. It's the final stretch now with the two remaining matches, the bronze final on Saturday and final on Sunday. But before we go and see what we're doing for the finals, we're going to see how we did in the semifinals, which is here. This is my team. I basically decided to neglect all the midfielders. I had 5 transfers and not enough. That was not enough to fill out a complete team. So I figured, what's the position that is most likely going to blank? Midfield. And that came true. Not a single midfielder got more than 3 points, I think. So I only had Fernandes in midfield and rather went for attackers and defenders for my transfers. The one mistake I did was getting Giroud rather than Alvarez. Alvarez was amazing for Argentina. Potentially man of the match, even though Messi got the award. Messi said he should go to Alvarez. He scored 2 goals. The first goal was kind of lucky. The ball bounced his way, but he still did a really good finish. And then final goal was, yet again, brilliance from Messi. So, yeah. Decent from Argentina going forward, but going for French defenders and also adding Molina and Otamendi, I think, in defense also helped me. Got a lot of clean sheet points, which ended up giving me 67 points in total, which is a pretty good score, especially with only 9 players. I was pretty happy with that. Starting goal, Uriz kept the clean sheet, 6 points, easy money, along with Hernandez, who scored obviously for France, got 13 points. Sadly, I didn't have a power captain this week because last week I used power captain for basically no gain because I got Messi as captain anyway, who I would have captained. But anyway, Hernandez got 13 points, really good. Most people have him, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I brought in Koundé. He got a clean sheet. Wasn't really close to scoring, but clean sheet is fair enough. Molina, Otamendi both got clean sheets for Argentina as well. Decent for them. 6 points Molina, 5 points Otamendi. And like I mentioned in midfield, I only had Enzo Fernandez, who got 3 points. Wasn't really that close to scoring. But yeah, had another decent game. Up front, Messi captain, 20 points. No reason to switch, even though Mbappe got 2 assists from 2 shots that were rebounded and went to other attacking players. Or in one case, Theo Hernandez. And then finally Giroud, which kind of made the most sense. He had been the most consistent striker previously in the World Cup, maybe apart from Alvarez, who ever since he got the starting role for Argentina has been banging them in. So that was sort of my mistake. I should have also figured that Argentina and France will meet each other in the final, so I should have backed Argentina more because I'm backing Argentina in the final. So that's also another reason why I should have had Alvarez. But my thinking there was more that Giroud is more likely to play more than Alvarez because Lautaro Martinez was the starting striker for Argentina at the start of the World Cup, but Alvarez has just clearly shown that he's the best fit for the Argentinian squad and for Messi. So it made sense for him to start. But yeah, on the bench, don't really have any players playing. Casemiro knocked out, Foden knocked out, Noppert knocked out, Acuna sadly was suspended, so I couldn't use him either. That would have been some other nice points rather than the 0 points I got from Fernandes and Paqueta. But yeah, 67 points, pretty happy. Don't know if you have any comments about the team.
Yeah, no, I think we're all a bit too harsh on ourselves in regards to Giroud. I think Giroud could have easily gone himself a 10-point game as well, because if you really consider some of the things that he hit the post for starters with that one crazy breakaway chance that he had. He had all the time in the world to score on virtually an open net because he was able to get the ball back and he shot it just wide. So I think us backing Giroud wasn't the wrong thing considering the chances he had. But yeah, of course, I mean, it's hard to also expect, whilst we believed firmly on Argentina and stuff like that, 3-0 wasn't something that I was expecting going in. I thought Argentina would edge it, but I did not expect them to basically break away the way they did. Some people can argue that that's due to the penalty and blah, 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 blah. But my argument in regards to that is the fact that Croatia didn't look good throughout the entire game. And they scored those goals back to back pretty quickly. So I find it's a bit harsh to say that changed the entire game because Argentina were dominating from the get-go. Like Croatia throughout the entire tournament have shown nothing in terms of attacking. They haven't won a single game technically, right?
No, they destroyed Canada, but apart from that, yeah.
Yeah. But apart from that, it was just a lot of draws and basically a lot of defensive matches. What their ideal game was to take this to extra time, whilst Argentina did the thing that we begged them to do, which was just attack from start to finish. 3-0, kind of flattering at the end of the day, because it could have easily have ended with more, especially towards the end when Dybala was playing and stuff. I don't even understand what some of those attacks were towards the end. But yeah, I think generally speaking, I mean, obviously you could have gone minus to try and maybe change Acuna to someone, because if you believe that strongly on the defense. But other than that, I mean, you can't get blamed. I think you did pretty good. 67 is a good score, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, I would have gained 3 points if I switched Acuna to a defender.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Some points I could have gained there, but still, I felt like Acuna doing like a transfer to sub out someone who potentially starts in the final. That's the question that I have. But he potentially at least starts in the final, even though Tagliafico looked amazing against Croatia. But yeah, I agree with you on the point on about Giroud. He easily could have scored 2 or 3 goals, at least 2. So yeah, that's how it is in fantasy. Sometimes you make the sort of correct decision and then the result is pretty bad despite that. But yeah, can't really be too far down because of that. So yeah, we move on to your team. Yeah, take us through your team, your transfers in and all that stuff.
Yeah, so basically brought in Molina, brought in Martinez and Modric and Ziyech simply because with Modric, in case they got a penalty, I thought to myself that, yeah, Modric is going to be that guy for them. He, generally speaking, had a pretty good game. I mean, that's the reason, despite losing 3-0, he has 2 points because he got the key passes in and stuff like that. But I think I was more disappointed on Ziyech. I think these guys could have easily scored or equalized or even won the game against France. That's how sort of even it was for long periods of time, because it was just them attacking. I think the biggest own goal that Morocco did was subbing off El Nasseri, because when they brought in the 30-plus-year-old striker, he was just doing stupid step overs and all this type of other stuff. So clearly you could tell that, he was just not on it as El Nasseri was. But in terms of other transfers, I mean, I brought Giroud in as well. He could have easily hauled, didn't. Really disappointed that Di Maria didn't play. Really disappointed that Pasalic was the one who got sacrificed, considering the fact that he's similar to Musiala. He's done really good things, but it just hasn't reflected into goals and assists. So for me, I think it was a bit disappointing that the Croat coach subbed him off. And then obviously with Di Maria, I could have gone -3 and taken out Alba Dumfries for Kunde and stuff like that. Yes, I would have gotten 6 points, but I also would have lost 6 points. So like, yes, it's fine. I feel that basically 10 men only got 2 points less, despite not having as strong of a defense. I mean, yes, I could have played it differently, and instead of Ziyech and Modric, I could have gotten in Kunde and another French defender. But for next week, being the week that we're talking about now, I look pretty because I don't have to do as many subs. But yeah, all things considered, I'm very happy with 65 points. I'm very happy that I had so many Argentinians. I didn't realize until the game happened. I was just like, oh, I have a buckload of Argentinians, and yeah, I want them in the final, and I want them to play well. So here's hoping they keep a clean sheet and win against France.
Yeah. I think you were actually pretty unlucky that Morocco didn't score, seeing as you only had Hernandez in defense from France. A goal, especially CH was really good in the second half as well. Like he could easily had an assist or a goal or something like that. If that would have happened, then all the other people like me and a lot of other managers would have had so many more points lost than you on Hernandez. So if that would have happened, you would have had a major leg up compared to the rest of us. So yeah, just that CH didn't score, or the Morocco didn't score, and then Giroud versus Alvarez was sort of the thing that made your match day sort of just 65 points is decent. So it was a good match day, but it wasn't the perfect match day that you could have had if only those two things would have happened differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically, if I'm going to compare to me, I feel like I made the right decision in terms of going for the defenders rather than midfielders. It's more interesting, it's more fun to pick players like Ziyech and Modric, but in the end, it was more likely to be clean sheets than goals for those guys. But yeah, other than that, don't really have any issues with your squad. It could have been really good for you, like I said. But 65 points is pretty good. You're still doing pretty well on the table. Not as good as me, though. I'm still 18 points behind number one. And then we have another contender since last time. Top Gunner joined us. So first place, Engelthal, I think you pronounce it, joined before the quarterfinals, took the number one spot, and then last week Top Gunner joined as well. So I have two players in front of me that I didn't have before the quarterfinals. But everyone's welcome, even if you're still playing now, even if you have like more than 400 points, you can still join and win a free mini league if you're watching right now. Anyway, you subscribe to our content or basically invest into the FPL Scope podcast is good for us. So have at it if you have 400 points and want to join. But anyways, I'm 18 points behind number one. It's going to be a bit difficult because I'm also 15 points behind number two. And number one and number two have pretty different squads. One of them has Giroud, one of them has Alvarez. One of them has 4 French defenders, and the other has like more of like a balanced defense. So it's going to be pretty tough for me to catch up with at least both of them, but maybe I can take over or get past one of them, potentially both, but it's going to be a long shot. As for you, Kevin, 329 points, 40 points behind me. You're looking pretty good for your pizza bet, which is good for you, or you're looking pretty in the clear, to be fair, for your pizza bet. You can't even see the... Oh, he's in the other league table in our private league, but either way, he's pretty far behind Dylan, the guy you have a pizza bet with, who's probably watching this right now. So you should listen to me more, Dylan. That's always a clue. Yeah. But anyways, 329 points. What do you have any aspirations of going top 5, or you think 5th is too high for you now?
I haven't really paid attention or cared because at this point of the World Cup, I think it was just more doing stuff for fun rather than doing stuff analytically. Because if I did stuff analytically, I wouldn't have gone for midfielders. I just wanted more fun out of the games because we both predicted that Argentina and France would make the final and we'll destroy them and stuff like that. But it would have been fun to have the history moment, Ziyech or Modric if they did something crazy. But I mean, if number 5 makes big errors, I can definitely catch up. But I can definitely still catch up with number 6. Probably not you guys up there, sadly, but it's not the end of the world at the end of the day. But I'm looking forward to seeing what people are actually doing, because there might be people who just get a Croatian defense and then that completely back. Like there are, those are legitimate ways of doing this. If you strongly believe that I wouldn't recommend it, but it is a risky move. I could see people who are way behind who might do something like that. They're like, oh, I definitely think Croatia are going to win 1-0, or oh, I definitely think Morocco are going to win 1-0. I wouldn't recommend doing that in the final, simply because both teams look like they can score at any time. So don't get full France or full. And if you do and you succeed, well done. But for me, I think it's just a question of just making sure you have a good spread of players, which we'll get into right now, I guess.
Yeah, just a quick comment as well. Another goal for you could be to get 400 points. You're 71 points away. You got 65 points this week, so you could potentially get more than 71 or 71 exactly and get 400, which would be quite a milestone. So yeah, that could be one of your goals. But yeah, sure. like you mentioned, there's a lot of ways to attack the bronze finals and semifinal, or bronze finals and final. Like you said, you could go for either Morocco or Croatia, and that's sort of what I've done. I've gone with Hakimi was like a no-brainer for me, considering how offensive he is. He might be on penalties, free kicks. Well, not free kicks necessarily, sometimes shooting, I don't know. But either way, he has potential to score, so he was a no-brainer in my team. And that also means that the goalkeeper, because I needed to get one more goalkeeper to have a goalkeeper in the bronze final match as well. So in the decision between Bono and Livakovic, I went for Bono because I already have Hakimi, so I could just go for the Morocco clean sheet rather than going for one of each. Well, technically, it could end 0-0, but I kind of hoping for a Hakimi goal. That's why I have the captaincy on him. Trying to go a bit differential, hoping that he scores and gets a clean sheet, and that can get me enough points to go number 1 in the league. But yeah, those are 2 of the transfers I made. Bono in for Noppert, Hakimi in for Kunde, actually. I sold Kunde because I'm also going to back Argentina against France. That's also why I've done Giroud to Alvarez. Jumped on a bit too late. Typical if Giroud now scores and scores the winner in the final. But yeah, on top of that, I've also brought in Ziyech and Perisic. I've always this has sort of been a discussion between us two throughout this whole World Cup fantasy. You've always gone with Modric. I've always gone with Perisic. So yeah, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go with Perisic rather than Modric, choosing one of them. But you could easily go with both as well. Other than that, I have pretty much the same team as last week. Or last match day. Still, I also have Acuna and Lloris on the bench to come on if needed. If Bono doesn't get a clean sheet, Lloris can go and be the starter. And Acuna just depends if he's starting or not for Argentina. I'm not 100% sure he's going to. So I do have one transfer in hand. I have done 5 of my 6 transfers, so I could potentially switch Acuna to Tagliafico if need be. Or potentially just go all out Argentina and switch Hernandez to Romero and just go super Argentina heavy and hope that France concede, which I'm going to do anyway because I hope Messi scores. So yeah, that's pretty much my team. Still have Paqueta and Foden doing nothing on the bench. Paqueta, sort of West Ham bias there, just having him all the way through, even though he's not playing. But yeah, that's pretty much my team. I don't know if you have any input.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfectly fine if that's what you're aiming for, and if you want to have a differential. I think that bronze match is the time to do it, especially if it hits. So yeah, can't really hate on it. The only thing is just the question of whether you do want to get a more offensive midfielder, but at the end of the day, they haven't been performing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Fernandez has actually come close to scoring several times, so
yeah, I could go with him to someone like McAllister and stuff, but I feel like it's just sideways to do that when I can do other moves instead.
Yeah.
I might also, with the extra transfer, I might also switch if I need to get a goalkeeper in. I might switch Uriz to Martinez just to go and back Argentina even more. So yeah, those are pretty much my plans. So yeah, we can move on to your team. It's going to be a pretty quick podcast this week, it seems like. But that's fair enough. There's not much to cover, really. This is your team, Kevin. Go through the team, your transfers, your captaincy thoughts as well. I forgot to mention on my team, I'm obviously doing Hakimi as captain first, and then if he fails, I'm going to go with Messi. Tried and true. Rather than going with Mbappe, I'm going to go with Messi. But yeah, go through your team, your captaincy, and transfers, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so basically, pretty much got the same team as always in terms of the Argentina boys, but I also brought in Perisic, brought in Kunde, and I brought in Hakimi and Livakovic. I think the bronze match is even crazier to predict because it can go either way, or it ends up being like the most boring game of all time, and it ends up being like the biggest 0-0, and they decided on penalties. I sort of want that just because of how good Bono and Livakovic have been in the penalty shootouts. Like, imagine it going like to the keepers and then that being the thing that wins you the shootout. But I'm hoping for an exciting match. I do think that backing Morocco isn't the worst shout because they look so good when they play. It's just the lack of having that, like, I don't know, like El Nassiri is good, but he's not, at the lengths of these other guys, right? Like, they just miss the X factor striker from basically making the final, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think backing them isn't the worst thing. I think it of course matters to both teams, but I feel personally that Morocco might be going into it with better energy than Croatia, because Croatia feel like losing 3-0 was such a sideways step for them because they beat Brazil, who everyone thought was going to win it, and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Morocco didn't make that final hurdle with France. So I think it makes sense for Croatia to be a bit more deflated in that sense because they've made a final right before. So this isn't as far as they can go, clearly, but it could go either way. That's why I have Perisic, Modric, and Hakimi and Ziyech, and that's why I have so much backup, because in case everything flops and it's like a 1-1 and two random ass people have scored and it goes to penalties, that doesn't change anything. That I've lost so much points there, basically. So then I could throw in Di Maria, McAllister, Kunde, and Martinez. But in terms of Di Maria, we still don't know whether he'll be fit for the final. So that's why I still have my one transfer. I could change him to Enzo Fernandez if basically a midfielder that I haven't seen from France who looks good, I could bring him in. Di Maria, thankfully, because he costs so much, gives me a lot of freedom for a free transfer. So we'll just have to wait and see what I do with that. But other than that, pretty happy with the team. I think I got a good spread in case things happen. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, like I was gonna say, for me, I don't have a full squad of players, so I don't really have the opportunity to go with both sets of teams in the bronze finals. But for you, it makes a whole lot of sense because you have that many bench players. So if Croatia score, if Modric and Perisic are really good, Livakovic keeps a clean sheet, you can swap out Hakimi and Ziyech for the bench players that you have. And the opposite as well, if Hakimi and Ziyech do really well, you can swap in Martinez and McAllister and Kunde for the Croatian guys. So you're pretty much well covered there because you have a broader squad than me. I don't have that same luxury because still have Paqueta and Foden on my bench. So it makes a lot of sense for you to go that route. So I think it makes sense. That's how, like, even though we have pretty different teams and pretty different approaches to the final, it sort of makes sense in terms of what we already have. So it makes sense for us to have sort of different teams as well. But yeah, as for the final transfer of yours, I'm not 100% sure what I would do personally. It just depends, like you said, on Di Maria. if he's not starting, which kind of is sort of likely at this point because they've done so well without him, and he hasn't really come on to play at all either. Potentially Di Maria to someone else. Could be Rabiot. Could go double. I guess you'd have to wait for the Argentina-France match. So you're kind of limited to those two teams. But yeah, Enzo Fernandez, like you said, could also be an option. Or even Rodrigo de Paul if you want to go with something completely different. So, or even, I don't know, if Papa Gomez starts or something like that, you can also go with that option. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. You didn't really talk about your captaincy though. So yeah, take me through your thought process there.
I mean, the thought process there is if they get a penalty, it's obviously Modric. That's the only reason why I have Modric. I think I am leaning towards Perisic, considering he's looked really good offensively and all this type of stuff. So it'll probably be Perisic and Messi, because obviously I back Messi all the way. So for me, I think it's going to be between Modric, Perisic, and Messi. Obviously, leading up to the match, I could end up doing Hakimi, I could end up doing Ziyech. It all sort of depends on how I'm feeling, because it's crazy because a lot of these pre-game interviews and stuff like that, you can learn a lot from how people's energies are and stuff like that. I think a good example of that was when I captained Diego Forlan against Germany. Even though Germany ended up winning, and it didn't matter like shit to them because they were just like, oh, we want to be in the final, blah, blah, blah. This is a huge disappointment. Diego Forlan spoke so positively. It's like, this has been a great run for us, been a good run for the nation, and blah, blah, blah. He ended up scoring like a super goal as well. So for me, I think I'll be keeping that in mind. I still think obviously by my transfers, I back both, but I back Croatia just that much more, considering that I have 3 players rather than the 2. So I think I will stick to Modric or because this is also Modric's final, probably Perisic's final World Cup too, if we're being honest. So yeah, I think it'd be cool to captain one of those two and Messi. I really hope to see Hakimi and Ziyech back at the World Cup and doing well at the AFCON, because Morocco was this sort of shock to the system that this World Cup needed, because we thought since the beginning, we thought Argentina and France could go all the way. Obviously, we thought Brazil could knock out Argentina, but it was also mainly because we didn't want to jinx Argentina. Now that Argentina are in the final, it can go either way. Regardless, we're happy that Messi made the final and everything like that. But yeah, I really hope we can see a fun match there. That's long. I'm begging that it's not 0-0.
Yeah, just to your points there about waiting for more confirmation of the team and like match day feeling and stuff. You also never know. Maybe Croatia, like you said, like back in the day with Forlan, Croatia might just take it easy, figure it out. Like third place game doesn't really matter that much. I think Modric and Perisic will start, considering it's probably their last game, like you said. But maybe they like rest Guardiola, try to keep him fit for his big move coming up pretty soon. He's going to go for a huge amount to some big club. So maybe they do something like that, and then it makes more sense to go with Ziyech as captain or something like that. But apart from that happening, I feel like Croatia are probably the favorites heading into the match. They have the better squad and more World Cup history, but at the same time, Morocco also has the whole fan base behind them in Qatar. They've been like the darlings of the World Cup. It's been a really nice story to see them go and be the first African team in the semifinal and stuff. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be, well, it's hard to say that it's going to be a fun game because both of those teams are better defensively than offensively, but there are at least, as you can see, Ziyech, Modric, Perisic, some really interesting and outstanding offensive players as well. I also got to give a shout out to Boufal for Morocco as well, offensively. Obviously, Amrabat as well. Been amazing for them. And on the topic of Amrabat and all these good players, that leads us to the final part of this podcast, and that is talking about the next podcast. This is obviously the final week of fantasy advice, but we'll wrap up the whole World Cup after the final on Sunday. We'll film that pretty early next week, either Monday or Tuesday, potentially even Wednesday. But at some point we'll do a recap where we'll go through and have our teams of the tournaments and just go through what we learned and what we thought of the World Cup Fantasy game as well. So yeah, look forward to that. Other than that, I don't think there's much else to say. Please like, share, subscribe, all that type of stuff with this video. We've gotten some couple hundred views pretty much consistently throughout this World Cup, so thank you for all the support so far. I hope we can continue to grow into the thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s eventually. We'll see. That's the goal at least. Yeah, that's it for me. Kevin, I don't know if you have any parting thoughts.
Messi's the GOAT. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that a lot more, I think, in the next podcast. So yeah, see you then. Bye-bye.